Welcome, everybody. This is another really fun episode of Indie Reads Aloud. I love this woman so much. This is Lisa Jacovsky. Lisa is all the way from New Jersey, and she's got a new children's book that came out recently. This book is called Let's Talk Learning to Bowl, and this is in her Autism Awareness series. Such a cool idea, Lisa. I'm so glad that you keep writing these books. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, thank you, Diana, Catherine. This is amazing. I love your series and I appreciate you having me on. You are such an incredible author and editor in person. Thank you so much for being a friend and mentor too.
Of course. Someday we're going to meet in person.
I know.
I'm coming to Jersey
Seriously.
one day. You'll see.
Yeah. I
I'm
talk
doing
about you at the schools because the kids all want to become authors. I'm like, I have an author friend. She'll travel. So I'm trying.
I'll do it over Zoom.
Right? We got to get you out here. These kids want to write too. It's so adorable.
So Lisa currently lives in her hometown in North Brunswick, New Jersey. She works as a child development specialist with early intervention. She just recently got her PhD, and we're all super excited about that. In her job, she's able to help children under the age of 3 with cognitive and developmental delays, sometimes with a diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder. She has been working in the field of applied behavior analysis for 8 years. Now it's probably longer than that, right?
I mean, 9 years next
9
month.
years.
Crazy.
And this is where she had her inspiration for writing her Let's Talk series. Lisa hopes that this series is available to inspire families to open up no matter what their differences. And we were just talking before we came in, we were talking in the green room about how autism isn't a disease or an illness. It's simply a different perspective on life. And I'm so glad that you're writing stories to make that idea accessible to little people.
Yeah.
I
Thank
just
you
think that's
so
really
much.
cool. Yeah.
I appreciate it. We were talking about I did the reading today and the kids had amazing questions. And, I was talking to the PTO president after, if we can help them understand at the young age, we can reduce bullying. We can,
Absolutely.
increase
Well,
the openness.
the other thing too, I like to look at it from the other side of the mirror, which is not just to decrease bullying, but to increase the self-esteem of the kids who see life through a different perspective.
Exactly.
They're seeing life, as I like to say, from the other side of the mirror, right?
Yeah.
So if we see them as quote unquote normal, and oh my gosh, I hate that word.
Me too.
But if we see them as equal, they will see themselves as equal.
Yes.
And I
absolutely.
think that's the message behind the stories that you're writing.
Oh, thank you. I love that. I am totally going to be using these. I
All yours.
absolutely
All
love
yours.
that.
We're recording this, so feel free.
It's such a great way to look at it. And that's exactly what I want my books to do. I want them to show the kids that have the autism diagnosis, they can do it too. Push their parents to let them try. Push to, engage with other kids. That's what I really, really want to.
Well, and to bridge that gap between kids and adults, because adults, I think, are often so confused with their own bias that they're not as open to differences in little people as little people are open to differences in little people.
100%. And that was something that was surprising about my books, is that adults enjoyed my books and they got the message, and then they started to change their minds. And it was really meant for kids, but to have adults look at it as a resource too, that was such a blessing and so special. It really makes doing this series one of my favorite things in the world.
Absolutely. I totally get it. I can totally see that you are all in on this project.
Yeah.
And I love your passion for it. It's absolutely infectious. Every time I talk to you, I walk away going, life is a really good thing.
Oh, I'm so glad. That's exactly how I see it. Like I'm always in a good mood. And it's really nice because when you're open like this, you can enjoy every little bit of life.
Absolutely.
Just
Yeah.
even at work today, watching this little woman with autism learn so quickly from a new technique I put in. I was just like, she's so smart. I am so incredibly proud of her right now. When you're
Absolutely.
open like that,
Yeah.
you get all these joyous experiences, and that's the best way to live life.
Sure. Yeah. Because then you get to go through life with the mindset of a puppy. And why wouldn't anybody want that? Right?
Yeah, life is meant to be enjoyed. So we should
Absolutely.
definitely all do that.
Yep. So this book you wrote during the pandemic.
I did.
And it really does focus on how the pandemic affected little people.
Yes, it does.
I am super excited for you to read this for us. So when you are ready, please take the microphone and read aloud.
Absolutely. This is called Let's Talk, Learning to Bowl. Go on this side. Let me turn this a little bit. There we go. Hi, my name is Harper, and I have been going on so many adventures with my best friend, Emma. One of my favorite adventures so far has been when we went to the zoo with our daddies. We not only got to see so many animals, but we made a new friend too. Our new friend's name is Jerry, and at first he did not understand Emma on account she has autism. That is just a fancy way of saying she learns differently from us, and sometimes she may act silly by flapping her hands. But Jerry was so nice to us and open to Emma's way of showing how excited she was. He even began to act silly and flap his hands with our daddies and us. We all had the best time. Our next adventure was learning how to bowl. Jerry already knew how to bowl, and he was in what he called a bowling league. Of course, Emma and I wanted to try it out too, so we signed up with Jerry. Jerry told us there were people called coaches who could help teach us how to bowl. We were so excited about this new adventure. It was finally the day to go to the bowling alley for our first lesson. When we got there, our mommies told us we needed to put on our masks before we could go inside. We must wear a mask over our nose and mouth to not get sick from that nasty virus. Inside, we put on new shoes that were kind of funny looking and made us giggle. Then Emma took her mask off, and I frowned because I was surprised she did not want to keep it on. Her mommy helped her to put it on and showed her the card that said mask on. When Emma had her mask back on, we went to find Jerry. He already had his shoes on and was waiting for us on the bowling lane. Hi, guys, Jerry said and waved. Then he pointed and said, we have special bowling balls already set for us. The coaches say they're 6 pounds. Wow, those are for us? I asked, walking over to the bowling balls. I put my hand in. It was kind of hard to fit. Then another kid, I think he was a teenager because he looked older than us, but not old like our mommies and Jerry's dad. He came over and said he was a bowling coach. His name is Phil. He said we could call him Coach Phil. He seemed nice and said he could help me with putting my hand in the ball. That ball was not light. I went to throw it down the lane, and Coach Phil came over to help me. He helped me put my hand in the ball and showed me how to throw it down the lane. My ball went right into the gutter. I laughed anyways, and Coach Phil said that was okay, as it was my first try. Next, it was Emma's turn. She smiled at Phil and flapped her hands. Before she picked the ball up, Emma took her mask off. Coach Phil said, Emma, we have to keep our masks on. Please put yours back on. Emma ignored Coach Phil and tried putting her hand in the ball herself and picking it up. Coach Phil tried to help Emma, but she ignored him. She took the ball from Phil and went to throw it down the lane. Coach Phil laughed and helped Emma put her mask on when she walked back over. When it was time for Jerry to bowl, I walked over to my mommy, who was sitting with Emma's and Jerry's daddy. Emma keeps taking her mask off, and I don't understand why, I said while frowning. Miss Therese, Emma's mommy, said she has difficulty with the mask because she has what is called sensory processing disorder. That is just a fancy way of saying her senses can become overwhelmed. She tries to do what she can to relax, which means taking the mask off. Oh, okay. She is uncomfortable and it's too much for her. That is why she takes it off. But she understands the card that says she has to put it back on, I said. Yes, because she can read and understand the card, she will put it back on easily, Miss Therese said. Thank you for telling me. I will show Coach Phil how to use the cards then, I replied, and walked back to the lane where it was my turn. After Coach Phil showed me how to throw the ball down the lane, I walked over to where Emma's side was with her note cards. I said, Coach Phil, Emma has autism and does not understand that we have to keep the mask on. If you show her these cards, she can read and understand a lot better than if you ask her to put the mask on. Wow, that is great to know. Thank you, Harper. I will use those from now on. Coach Phil smiled at Harper. It was now Emma's turn to bowl. She immediately took her mask off and went to put her hand in the bowling ball. Coach Phil walked over to Emma with her note cards. He took out the card that read mask on to Emma and she immediately put it on. Before she could put her hand in the ball, Coach Phil took out the card that said wait. Emma immediately stopped and allowed Coach Phil to take her hand and guide her to put the correct fingers in the ball. Then Coach Phil guided Emma to the lane and helped her to throw the ball. It went immediately into the gutter, but that did not bother Emma, who jumped up and down with a big smile, flapping her hands. Coach Phil showed her the card that said high five, and he was able to give her one. Coach Phil came over to me and said, you know, Harper, I have not worked with anyone with autism before. Thank you for telling me and showing me how to communicate with Emma. I found it easy to help her. With a big smile, I said, you are very welcome, Coach Phil. We had so much fun that day, and every week when we went bowling with Jerry and Coach Phil, Emma took her mask off a lot, pretty much any time she had to wear it. I had to use her card a lot to remind her to put it on and that it was safe. But I did not mind because that is what best friends are for.
Yay!
Thank you.
Thank you. That's, you know, the thing I love best about this particular story is that you give children the power to teach adults.
Yes.
And I think that's an awesome thing that you do for them. It really empowers them, and it really shows them that that it's not a scary thing to interact with an adult who maybe doesn't know something.
Exactly. And it shows, I feel like it shows adults too, that they should be open to children, that children, you know, just because they're kids and they're younger doesn't mean that they don't know what they're talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The kids may have a different experience than the adult has. And I like that you showed that Phil was so agreeable to learning something new from a little person.
Thank you.
That's the best message through the whole thing.
Thank you. I wanted to do more than the sensory. I wanted kids to learn about sensory and the math, but I also wanted them to see that, sometimes people don't understand, but what can we do to help them and to not be afraid to be like, hey, this is what's going on. This is what you can do.
Right.
So I wanted to kind of like sneak that in there somehow.
I think you did an extraordinary job.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for
I
coming
love
back
that
on the
book.
program and
Of
reading for us
course.
again. It's always such a delight to have you.
Oh my gosh, it's such a pleasure working with you too. Oh my gosh, I love coming on here. You're amazing, Dana Catherine.
You're going to come back another time and read again for us,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. I got plenty more books coming.
Thanks.